Aikwe, Nak now, Rosie, Donahue. I am Yurok, Hoopa, Karuk, and Navajo. I grew up in Hoopa. I live in Eureka now, and I've been working with baskets and gathering since I've been about 9 years old. We are going to be talking about gathering and processing and when to gather the basket materials today. The first one we are going to start off with is the gray willow, the river sticks, we usually call them. We gather them in the springtime. We use them in our Hoopa, Yurok, and Karuk baskets. We want to gather them before they start budding out all the way like this. We tend to gather them when they're like this, just starting out with their little leaves budding out. Right here's the best time to gather them because the sap is going up and they're easiest to clean. I like to gather my sticks within the first few weeks of springtime when the flowers are starting to come out and everything. And after gathering them, you want to clean them within 2 to 3 days from gathering them. Otherwise, the bark gets harder to come off the sticks. Right here, you see full blooms, and when they become full blooms, that they're no longer good to gather and to use because they get brittle and break. And you also want to look for little bugs on them. I tend to cut those off and make sure to help keep the willow bushes, I guess, or willow trees clean. So that helps them out too. So these are our gray willow, commonly used. We use them in almost all our baskets. The roots we use are river roots from the gray willows. And we use those when the rivers are starting to get lower, so it cleans and washes off all the debris. So then we can gather the roots up. It's really easy and simply just pull them up from the sand. We keep them in water so they'll stay easy to clean. You want to keep them in water so the outer roots are easier to clean and take off. They're best picked during the springtime as well and are used in mostly all our baskets. Hazel sticks are a stronger stick, and those are typically used in our baby baskets and gathering baskets, and we want to pick them as well as when they're starting to bud. We pick these ones are more in the higher side of the mountains, and usually where there's been a fire. Those are the best sticks to pick because they grow straighter and are stronger and are easier to apply. These sticks are best used after a fire's been in the area and gathered the next spring. And like I said, we mostly use them in baby baskets and gathering baskets. Bear grass is gathered in the high country, higher up elevation, and is gathered after it blooms. And so that's going to be in mid-July to late August, almost September is when we gather this. And also after a fire. The fire helps make the grass more pliable and softer. Bear grass is also known as cut grass because it cuts your hands up. So I tell all the kids to be respectful of it because it will cut you if you play around with it too much. We pick it, it's green as you can see, and then the sun, we lay it out so the sun bleaches it white. I put, you see there's horseshoes right here, this is bear grass, and I put some weight on it so it doesn't fly around if it's a windy area, if it tends to get wind picks up. It is light and does fly around. Like I said, you want to pick it after there's been a fire because it becomes softer and more pliable. The Woodwardia fern is one of my favorite ferns to pick. It's at least gets up to 5 foot or longer. When you pick it, it has 2 fibers that we get out of it. And those 2 fibers are what we dye red. Right here is alder bark that we use to dye red. And that is typically the red that you see in all our baskets. The fern is picked around the time you pick huckleberries, so that's the beginning of fall time. So right about now, right now is about September is the best time, probably to mid-November, I would say, before the first freeze. And you want to do it before the first freeze because the freeze makes the fibers inside not take to the dye. So it just doesn't take to the dye and it gets a little bit more brittle. So it just breaks a lot easier than picking it before. And these ones are typically picked around along with huckleberries is what I usually pick them around time. And a few tips is to watch out for poison oak, snakes, bees, bears, mountain lions, and Bigfoot. Never go gathering alone. Always take somebody with you and always tell somebody or tell people where you're gathering. And always thank the creator and to never gather too much. Always just gather what you need and what you can clean at that time. And I want to thank all my teachers and my gathering partners and photographers. I Queen, Naknow, Rosie, Donahue. I'm Yurok, Hoopa, Karuk, and Navajo. This is my mom, Doris Donahue, and we are here today going to talk about cleaning some fern here that I have gathered up yesterday. And I'm going to show you how we clean them and how we get the 2 fibers out. We use this fern in our baskets. This is the red that we use in our baskets. And we dye it with alder bark. And I also have some black fern right here that I wanted to also show you guys what black fern looks like. And that there's 2 sides to the black fern. We have the black side and the red side, and just how we're going to clean that. And how we want the black side to be the side that we use in our baskets. That's the side that's woven into our baskets. So my mom is cleaning all the fern leaves off of the fern right now, as you can see. She's cleaning all of these off. I typically like to clean the fern leaves off when I gather them because we have these spores on the back here, and these are the seeds, you could say, of the ferns. So I typically like to shake the ferns and to brush the ferns off before I leave the area where I picked a fern. And you also want to pick enough fern to work with and to also be able to clean, like I said, within 2 to 3 days. So right here, I have some of the sticks ready to be smushed. That's what we do. I am using a rolling pen. This one is a marble rolling pen. It's good for the weight to push down on them and to roll down. We also, when I teach the kids in the schools and stuff, I like to teach them that we used to use and clean the ferns with rocks. So we used to lay it down and would pound it down with the rock all the way down to get the fibers out. And there also became an invention of the washing wringer out that we could place the ferns in, and then they would go down and get squished. But I'm using the rolling pen. It helps me keeping my muscles, and you'll go through. And right now, my fern is kind of getting a little dry because I haven't when you gather it and pick it, you want to make sure you keep the fern in the water until you're ready to clean it. So, smush it down. Always want to go gathering when you go out gathering. Go gathering with people. I went yesterday with my cousin, and like I said, you want to watch out for snakes. So I usually typically have a stick that I gather with, so I can poke it around and make sure there's no sticks in the gullies of the water or whatever, because these typically grow around some creeks and everything. So there's always snakes around creeks and things like that. But I was also taught to not bring them up. So when you do, you're kind of asking for them. So clean them. And we flatten them out, and I have one already here, kind of ready to be cleaned. And these are the 2 fibers that you want. You want to use these ones, are the ones we get to put in place in our baskets. And like I said, it's a little dry and a little brittle because I did not keep them soaked overnight. I just freshly picked them yesterday and came up here. So those are the 2 fibers we keep, and those will be dyed. As you can see, they come out white, and they will be dyed red with alder bark. This one's been smashed. And it's always good to have some good strong nails. So nail biters know that. I had to stop biting my nails because I just could not get that nice clean line that you can get when you have those strong nails. Took me many years to stop biting nails so I can get these roots and ferns out nice and clean. And to make sure that we clean all the little fibers off of them. So we want to make sure all these little things like this come off. Because if they don't, then that will not turn red with the dye. And that is processing the Wardia fern. Or cleaning it. You still yet have to dye it.